accept the invitation. So I am going to introduce Linda Stanley, who is our candidate for district attorney.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Usually I don't need a microphone, I just want to make sure. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. Okay, so the question today was going to be, why should more women run for public office? And I think the question should be, why shouldn't more women run for public office? Because there should be more women in a lot more careers and job choices that were historically men. And to give you guys a little bit of background about myself, after I came to Colorado with my associate's degree in criminal justice, I started at Metropolitan State College of Denver, and I drove a semi during that time from 3 a.m. until noon and went to classes in the afternoon. So that was, especially at that time, historically men. So I understand how hard it is for women to sometimes break through that barrier, some of the things that they may experience, and whether or not they're going to stay in that career choice or that job, as it was for me, for very long, but I stayed in it. After I got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, I was a police officer for several years. And again, totally male-dominated. There was only one other female officer there besides me. And I knew that I was going to have to let them know that, yes, they may be stronger than I am, but I have the power of the voice. And the other thing was that, notoriously, if you could shoot better than they did at qualification, you were in the club. So I got that one too. But I did want to say that some of the things about women running for office has bothered me lately, because if you think about the very first really publicly women Vice President Geraldine Ferraro and Sarah Palin and obviously Hillary Clinton and now Kamala Harris. So I think back about times like that, and I think about even with Sarah Palin and with Geraldine Ferraro, what was the issue that people were talking about when that particular candidate was speaking? Because it wasn't about her qualifications. It was about her hair, her lipstick, her eyeshadow, her jewelry, her shoes, her clothes, whatever. Not about qualifications. And what really is bothersome about that is the people who are doing that are mostly women. When's the last time that you heard anybody ask a question of a male candidate about his shoes or his tie? The last thing I ever heard was Trump's hair. And what difference does that make, really? I mean, I would rather look at qualifications of candidates before I decide my vote. So the reason why I think more women need to run for public office is that exact reason. Is because the more women that are around, the less there will be judgment on the things that really don't matter, and the more on the qualifications of that particular person instead. Any questions, anybody? I'll be here later if anybody has questions. I have some flyers and stuff.
When there's an uprising of neo-Nazis.
I understand. I was talking about women in general that are under the microscope that is more magnified for them running for office than it is for men. And I did this speech way before any of this stuff happened with her today. This was already done. So this is what I was talking about today. Okay? Anybody else?
I also noticed it's all the non-mask wear. You haven't worn a fucking mask the entire time either.
I had my mask on the entire time, ma'am. Anybody else?
Would you kindly pronounce the vice presidential candidate's name correctly? It's Kamala.
Kamala, not Kamala.
Kamala.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought for a while ago it was Camilla even, so it's how different people.
There's a lot of ways to insult women, and
Yeah, that is. You're exactly right.
Is one of them.
You're exactly right. And I didn't mean to insult her at all. I apologize. Anything else? Okay, I'll have some flyers. Everyone else has anything? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see anybody. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Doing that subsequently, since we asked other candidates about their priorities for the offices they're running for, I wondered if you could share yours with us.
Sure. So the question, if anybody didn't hear it, was what would my priorities be, or what is my platform for a district attorney? So typically in the last few years, the district attorney's office has been known for not prosecuting cases. Actually, while I was running in the primary, I had several people tell me about many, many cold cases and other things that were not even charged that should be charged depending on the statute of limitations. That's one of the first things I want to do, is look at those cold cases when I get in there. The second thing I'm going to do, because I have experience as a prosecutor, I'm going to make sure I'm prosecuting cases. I will have a caseload as your district attorney, and I will be in court. You'll see me in trial, in court, handling those cases. Because that's the kind of person I think needs to be in the district attorney's office. It shouldn't be political. It should be about who can do the job best and who's going to do the job. If you haven't been a prosecutor before, how are you going to train the other people in the office to be a prosecutor? So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to take cases, I'm going to be training other people, I'm going to make sure that the media sees the cases that I'm doing, so you guys know I'm working for you, I'm a public servant, I answer to you, you're going to know that I'm doing the job. Anybody else?
Yeah, especially recently with COVID, we've seen a lot of government overreach. We've seen a lot of Denver, trying to dictate what happens in our small communities and our mountain communities. What are some of the challenges you see with dealing with Denver as far as your job is concerned?
I don't see any challenges dealing with Denver. When I take an oath as a district attorney, and that's whether it's the elected or whether it's a deputy district attorney that I've also been, you take an oath to uphold the Constitution first, and the laws of Colorado are second. So if there's a law of Colorado that's unconstitutional, I would be breaking my promise in office to uphold that law because I'm violating the Constitution. So the Constitution is number one in my book. The Bill of Rights is number one in my book, and that goes for both victims and defendants, both. Any other questions?
Are there laws that you're contemplating, or are you conducting it with specific Colorado laws in mind?
No, I don't have anything specific in mind. I was just letting you know what the oath of office is, and it's Constitution first, Colorado law second. Did you have another question?
Sure. Do you plan to enforce the red flag law?
Well, prosecutors don't enforce a red flag law. So the red flag law is about if you believe an individual is mentally ill and they have a weapon, you actually send that complaint to your local law enforcement, and then it goes in front, it's a civil court, and it goes in front of a judge to decide whether or not those weapons will be confiscated. It's not criminal in nature, it's actually civil in nature. But what I will tell you is I am a member of the NRA, and I do not believe in taking away anybody's guns, but if somebody lied in one of those petitions to remove somebody's weapons, and we can prove that, then they could be charged criminally that way. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I won't let you know that your opponent isn't here, but speaking about an initiative she's working on to revert your government.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I wonder what your opinion is on the talking about a plan that she's working on to divert misdemeanor drug offenders, drug possession, into treatment. And I wonder what your position is on diversionary programs for low-level offenders or folks with
Absolutely. One of the things I say in my flyers is there's a difference between good people that make a mistake and bad people. And good people that make a mistake may have some consequences. Bad people need to have punishment. And you need to have a DA in there that knows the difference between those two and reacts appropriately to those cases. I did have a meeting with the person who's in charge, Kimberly up here, of the restorative justice program. And we are totally on the same page, especially dealing with juveniles and kids. But yes, absolutely there should be diversion. There's no reason why somebody should have to pay for a mistake for the rest of their life. I absolutely agree with that. And I also think it's time to come down on the drugs, particularly the people, black market marijuana, any other kind of dealerships and distribution that's happening in these 4 counties. Because I'm telling you, once you get rid of the drug problem, and when I say get rid of, I mean those guys need to go to prison. Once you get rid of the people who are distributing the drugs, your whole crime rate for everything will go down. It's just the nature of the beast. So the drugs and the drug possessions aren't as bad as the distribution. The distribution and the manufacture is a lot worse than somebody who's in possession or happens to be on drugs. Yes. Go ahead.
So I volunteer at the Word Summer Culture, and I'm curious what your stance is on adult diversion programs. I mean, what we do primarily now is youth diversion, but have the same stance or
I absolutely believe in adult diversion. Again, if somebody makes a mistake, and I've had cases, many cases, where, for instance, possibly a DUI for a correctional officer can't, absolutely they can do diversion. Because I'm not there to ruin somebody's life. That's not my job. and I'm not going to do that to somebody. I'm supposed to be fair and just. That's my job. That's the oath I take. That includes everybody. So yes, I'm absolutely in favor of adult diversion as well. Yes. Go ahead.
What it would look like for you to work with the restorative justice program? Like, how do you physically envision that for yourself?
Right, so the restorative justice program, if people don't know, it's a way for people who have a first-time offense. They meet with the victim, and then they may have to do some work. I've talked with Ray over at the Boathouse Cantina. He has a lot of people there in restorative justice that are working. So it's a way that they can pay back, but not have something on their record. And hopefully learn from the experience, especially when they're talking to the person, the victim. Especially when they're talking to the victim, they understand that the impact of their actions and their consequences. So I don't think it's okay to have something on your record forever because you happen to make a mistake, you're running with the wrong person, whatever the case may be, maybe the parents aren't around or aren't around enough. It doesn't matter why. But I want to stop particularly juveniles from running down that path because I've seen what happens in criminal justice when they just don't have anyone to turn to. They don't have any family. They don't have anyone they can trust. And so they'll run around with people that they think are their family and they'll get in trouble. So, and when Kimberly and I were talking on restorative justice, and she talked about a study that showed that kids, when they start going off the track, is usually in school, and it's usually some disagreement with the teacher that ends up being a bad grade or a failing grade. And we talked at length about we need to get into the schools. We need to get into those principals and those teachers, and we need to know when something happens with the kid and a teacher, did the parents get involved or not? Let's get in there and get them, straighten that out right away so we don't have problems with that later on. And I said, that's it. That's exactly it. That's exactly when it happens because they think no one's listening to them. They think, I don't have anybody who's standing up for me. And that's exactly when that happens. So that's what we talked about at length, and I'm totally for that. Anybody else? Thank you. I have some flyers for everybody too. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for attending. This space was granted for this purpose by the city of Salida. I think it's a great addition to the F Street Mall. And I would like to just say, if anybody has an issue they want to talk about or would like to get a group together, the nice thing here is we're open air, we can distance. It is open. It's not for one particular party or another. And I certainly hope we'll get to hear from more of our candidates, in this location. And please reach out to me, Allison Brown, if anybody is interested in using it for this purpose. And we have some lovely art over here that the Boys and Girls Club provided. We're going to be giving them a small prize tomorrow. It's being donated by the Fantasy Games and Comic. So please do go see the artwork. Some of it is just adorable. And thank you for coming.